So I try just to briefly introduce how we have actually dealt with the methodology and how we structure the methodology in order to get involved the people in CSOP model. Actually, we divided the methodology in three main parts. So the technical part, the social part, and the legal part. So then today we are going to look at the legal part and the challenges that we are facing now in order to implement the CSOP model and to see how we can resolve them. The technical part, actually, it was divided in two main parts where we started to collect the data and identify the different buildings in our case studies. So then we started to make some kind of feasibility analysis based on different criteria to see if the project is feasible or not. So to select the best scenario as well in order to be implemented in the project and in order to be selected in order to be implemented the CSOP model in that case. Then we started with the social structure that we're going today to look at them in order to see how we can involve the stakeholders. And so we made different workshops, info events, and the questionnaire. And the last part is the legal part where we are actually dealing with the contracts and the financial methods. We have 10 different municipalities in Susa Valley, which are widespread among this valley, which is in the northwest of the Italy, in border with the France. So we identified different buildings. Most of our buildings are public buildings, and I would just say that we are actually working with the thermal energy consumptions and not electricity. So as sometimes we have the residential part. So as I mentioned, just to look at it, that we have defined different energetic and technical scenarios, and then based on 17 KPIs, key performance indicators, we selected the best scenario in order to be implemented to make the business models. Afterward, we started to see, okay, how we can get involved the people. We started to make some kind of stakeholders analysis, and we understood that we need the mayors, the social activities, the citizens, and the private entities. Through different methodologies, emails, telephones, and in person. And we started to make 12 events organized in Susa Valley with them in order to inform them. During these events, we have divided these events in two main moments: theoretical part, where we started to inform them, to talk about what is SCORE, what is the CSOP model, and then we had always some moment of practical one. So we actually played with them, we organized different workshops with them, and we get them involved in order to co-create the future scenarios. So we started to identify, because the main target of the project were vulnerable people, so we started to identify the vulnerable people, that I mean the low-income people, employment, and the single moms, and we get them involved in the first info events, and we ask them what is their desire in order to have this CSOP model in their municipalities and their cities. Then we have organized different workshops with citizens and also with mayors, so public administrations and private entities, in order to co-create the future scenarios together with them. We use different social methods as a storytelling. So what is happening now and how is the desire and the desired scenarios in the future after the implementation of energy community. And we actually used different tools as WebGIS in order to facilitate these workshops. Then we had done with different lectures, because we have different schools building in Valle di Susa, and we organized different lectures with the unpresented people, so the kids at the school, and we informed them, and we actually ask them in order to fill in different questionnaires with their parents and with the inhabitants who lives in Susa Valley. And then we had different presentation. And finally, we have designed the questionnaire, and we distributed this questionnaire not just in Italy, but in all our case studies, so Essen and also in Litomarice, which was divided in different information to see if the people is ready to get involved in our project or not. And we actually divided them in 4 clusters of that they were, let's start, so to make it to that, no, I don't care about the Susa Valley. And you can see here the results that most of the people were actually ready to get involved in the project. So now I leave the floor to Jacopo in order to show you, so what are the challenges in implementing the CSOP model in Susa Valley. Thank you, Jacopo.
Yes, thank you, Sara. Good morning. I'm Jacopo Toniolo. I'm working with Polytechnic to the implementation of the pilot in the Susa Valley. So during the project, it happens things that we cannot foresee and other things that we can foresee. I will explain to you all those things. And we faced some problem from one hand, and from the other hand, some new development and possibilities that the renewable energy communities directive open up. So the main point was the energy community regulation. When we started the thinking about this project is in 2016. The energy community was just an idea, but then in 2018, the energy community regulation was published by European Union. And so each member state started to implement this regulation. In Italy, this regulation was implemented in a very limited way, specifically about the electricity and specifically about the small electricity system, so around 200 kilowatts. That was that suited almost well an electricity energy community of an apartment blocks, for example, but that didn't suit at all a system focused on the thermal energy, because with 200 kilowatts of thermal power, you just heat up an apartment block, a small one, and you cannot build an energy community. Beside, we had the well-known COVID pandemic situation, and so it was very, very hard to put together the people, to convince low-income people, low digitalized people, for example, to be involved in the energy community. We struggled. We tried to do that, but with the video call, it's not easy. And then the interdependency between the renewable energy technology and business model. Since in Italy we focus on the thermal energy community, it was quite difficult to study a company that could implement the CSOP, so the people ownership, with also other stakeholder ownership. So we studied that. Now we had a clear view of what we need to do that, but more time and specifically investment is needed to do that. So we can go to the next slide, Sara. Thank you. Other things that we faced during the project is that the first administration that make their consensus on the 2016-2017 SCORE project then changed it during the election in 2019. So we had to come back to the new mayor and explain again what was the SCORE project. And when a mayor change in a town or in a city, if there is from an opposite political side, there is some kind of behavior like we want to change the idea of or the works of the predecessor. So these things about thermal energy community, renewable one, you have to explain to me again, and I'm not sure is the good way to do that from one point of view. On the other point of view, in 2021, the Italian government allowed to use some frozen fund that was frozen since the Monti government, so it's a lot of years ago. And they used those funds not to install new renewable energy. That was a good idea, but instead to make some maintenance on the road, on the public lighting that was, not abandoned, but that was without proper maintenance for a long time. So all these change a bit the time span of our project. At the end of the day, the energy community directive changing open new possibility, because all the major put together with the SCORE team effort on the same table. So Sara, if you can change. So after numerous dissemination and coordination events, all the major understand that only a global project, global pilot will be implemented. And also we as a team understand that it was better, instead of implementing, for example, the 10 pilots that we believed in the SCORE project when we write down the proposal, to push up and put all the effort to build the energy community of the entire Susa Valley. So with all the major of around 37 municipalities, we write down a proposal for the Piedmont region. This proposal earned just a small amount of money, but is symbolic. Is $10,000 to increase the well, the framework of the energy community. And at the end of the day, we had a specific project of a Susa Valley energy community that was written in the National Recovery Plan that was presented to the Italian government, and it talks about project for 60 million euro. So we the effort was not useless. It doesn't take us to the 10 pilots we wanted on the beginning of the project, but it takes all the community to a global energy community society company that will lead project in 5 years for 60 million. So we think that all the effort and also the changing of legislation, all the effort we made as a team and the changing of legislation put some time span in between the starting and the end of all those pilots, but increase incredibly this the scopus of the energy community. So we can go to the last one. So at the end of the day, we will just have, well, at the end of the day of the SCORE project, we will just have one thermal plant installed of around 300 kilowatts, then 20 kilowatts of electric energy in Ulks and 20 kilowatts in another country. So it's just 3 pilots, but we increased the amount of project from just 4 million euro that was believed at the beginning on the project to 60 million euros. So we are just waiting for the approval of the National Recovery and Resilience Plan at the Italian government. It will lead some months, we believed, but then in 2022, the new energy community of the Susa Valley will be very, very real founded to have all those type of pilots. And so they will install electric photovoltaics, they will install thermal plants, and so on. So thank you for the attention.